another episode of Homes of Hope Fiji podcast. I am Elise, and as you can see, we have new people that are sitting with us on the set today. And before we go further, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves first. Starting from Sue Taylor, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Sue Taylor and I come from New Zealand, and I'm here at the invitation of Homes of Hope to do some training on the effects of trauma on people's daily lives and the trauma-informed care program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. My name is Martin, and I'm representing CSO Western Division, based in Lotoka.
Thank you, Martin. Naka Buluvinaka. My name is Susanna, and I'm here representing Dalomani Safe Home that is based in Tawakumbu, Lotoka.
Thank you. Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching, and whatever time you're watching. My name is Joshua, and I'm a field officer with Homes of Hope. And thanks for having me on, Inset.
Well, the Homes of Hope staff invited Sue Taylor to Fiji to come and hold a workshop with us on trauma-informed care. And it's been a wonderful, self-reflecting 4 days that we've had. It's brought out a lot of emotions. And today we're going to talk about the effects that trauma has on someone. So I'm not going to take any more of your time.
Thank you for that introduction. So the first point we're going to talk about today is about the ripple effect of trauma. So if we throw a stone into the river, we know that it makes a ripple, and that ripple goes out. And you see the lines going out. That's what we call a ripple. And so with trauma, if we see it as the stone that's thrown in the water, there becomes these ripple effects that move outwards. So the trauma happens. So what is trauma? Trauma is when we experience really difficult situations that harm us emotionally or physically or sexually. They're bad things that are beyond our ability to cope, and they cause us to be very afraid and fearful for the future, and they overwhelm us. So it has this effect as the stone goes in and it ripples out. So it affects how I feel and how safe I feel. It affects my brain because it affects how well I can learn. And sometimes it's hard for me if I've experienced one of these really bad events, difficult events. It prevents me from remembering things, so it's very hard for me to retain information and learn new things. And then it makes me very nervous around people and fearful. So then I feel that I don't have very good relationships because I'm really scared to trust others. Because I've been betrayed, with my trust has been betrayed, I'm fearful I'll be hurt again. And so this ripple effect of it affects my emotions, it affects my learning, it affects all my relationships, it affects how I can care for my children, it affects how I can relate to my husband, and it affects how I can connect to people in the village. So we see that trauma has just such a huge ripple effect on society, and it all starts with me, and it starts with the individual who is hurt. But just as we have this very negative ripple, we can also turn that around to become a more positive ripple by getting the support to heal. And as we heal, we can begin to change that impact of trauma and cause more positive ripples out.
For me especially these past few days, I had to understand that some of my actions now, or the way that I was towards my family or my own children, had an effect on me because of something that I went through when I was younger. So like I said when we started, the ripple effect, it made me reflect on myself and try, and like we learned, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
I have to heal first
Yes.
in order to make an impact on my children. So what's your take on what we're talking about?
I mean, that's true. And one thing I liked about the workshop was when we spoke about trauma, the ripple effect, and then we dug deeper, and you kept relating trauma to an iceberg. You know, we only see what's happening on the surface. You know, we only see the behaviors of someone. But then trauma also is what's underneath, all those emotions unchecked. And this workshop has been an eye-opener. For me, especially as a dad, and you know, relating to my children, you know, how the ripple effect of me being unattached to them, you know. So it was really emotional also going through this workshop. Very a good eye-opener. Yeah, so thank you for that.
Thank you. That sounds good.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. And for me, attending the workshop actually makes me realize how, you know, like with the line of work I'm in, with the Dalamani Safe Home, it confirms to me why certain victims are behaving a certain way. So, because there are underlying factors that are actually giving them to behave that way. So now, during the workshop, I've learned to ask the right questions, how to behave around them too, and giving my full attention. You can't be attending to a traumatized victim that's in front of you and be half there and half not there. We have to be totally there.
Yes.
And also it reminds me, also I can recognize now how to better my relationship with my children in terms of communicating with them, you know, like, and also recognize if there is a change in behavior with the children. Even at Dalamani Safe Home too. Now it gives me, it confirms to me, okay, some children are acting that way because there are things that has happened, and now it gives me some more ideas of how to sit down and, you know, try and attend to the needs that they have, which are not, you know, seen by anyone, even by mom or grandparents, to see that, yeah, that has happened. And yeah, it has given me a lot and has helped me a lot in terms of how to deal with trauma victims or our residents. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, yes, for me it was really an eye-opener for me, and it was really so interesting. One thing to say about this thing about trauma, one thing that back what we always say, when somebody comes to that kind of behavior, we always say, oh, that person is stressed. But really we didn't know that person went through this kind of thing that really hurt him or her inside. So through this training, for this training here, I came really to learn a lot. And I'm really prepared well to take it back, especially to my minority group, my LGBT group, which I'm work together with the advisor for Pacific Rim Advocacy Network. Let's look after the sex workers. Yes, most of the time to go through with them, it's really hard because we don't know what's really happening to them. So sometimes we just look at them and say, oh, maybe they just there because of others people, their friends, and others say they are on the street because of this. So, but particularly we didn't know what they went through, what they come through their families. So throughout this training here, for the trauma-informed care, I really learned a lot. So I'm ready to go back now and share the story back and to my fellow sisters and brothers back at my organization for Bran.
So during the workshop, activities that were going on were cards, just simple cards, no words, and where you had to look at, and something that, you know, a picture can tell you so much or can make you feel so much, and just a simple picture of someone holding a belt can bring out so much in you, and like we can joke around and say we've had all of that done to us. We had the belt, we had the pen, we had the spoon, everything. And then, but then when you had to look at it now, and after these 4 days, it's, for me personally, it meant a lot. You know, just understanding that hurt me in some way, and I'd like I'd like you to know that one thing that we learned is to talk about it. So Sue, I'd like if you could tell our or share with our viewers some things that we could do to get over it, or to get over the trauma, just to avoid the negative effects that it'll have on someone.
To stop the ripple.
Yes, to
Right.
stop it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's very important to stop the ripple now, because we know that research has shown that trauma, the effects of trauma, are actually passed on to the next generation through your DNA. So if you don't deal with your trauma, you will pass it on to your children, and they will pass it on to their children. So we all have to make the decision to, this stops now with me, and I have to own my trauma. I have to say, yes, it's my responsibility to take responsibility for the effects of trauma and stop it now. And I think the most important thing to do is to actually give voice and say, yes, this happened to me.
Yeah.
And you might have to choose the right person, because there may be people who actually say, oh, just get over it. And that's going to just cause you to shut down again. But we want you to be able to find someone that you can trust, who you can share with, who you can say, put your hand up and say, this happened to me. And that person will listen, and you can say, this is how it's affected me. And I want to heal from this. And I want to start creating a positive ripple out. I want to stop that negative ripple now.
Have you felt in your different line of work that are you empowered now to help stop the ripple? And we all come from different, we provide different services, but have you been empowered these 4 days to try and stop the ripple?
Yes, for that, yes, we are ready to do that. We are ready to stop the ripple that been. So right now, what we've been equipped and what we've been learned throughout this week here, it's not only me by myself. We have a team where we can support each other in terms to stop this thing. Yeah. And the other thing is that if we have other organizations that we work together with other CSO, other NGO, where we work together, we are in terms of the counseling, because majority of us, where our line is, we are not a counselor. So what we have to do, we have to refer the case to the other expert people who are really there to do counseling in terms of our member of the organization.
Thank you. With me, yes, with the week of workshop has equipped me to be creative on how I attend to the victim, our residents who has been through the trauma and stop the ripple. And the one thing that actually keeps coming back to me is recognizing that that an event happened, to recognize it so that, and also to assist our residents to recognize that something has happened, and then for them to own it, and then we can work together and be creative about it to stop the ripple from going forward. Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if I could just add one comment that, sometimes there's not a lot of professionals that can help, and that's a problem. So I would suggest that you find somebody, or people would upskill themselves to actually run groups, so that you have a support group. And you find a group of like-minded people who you can build relationship with and trust, and then you can share your story and you can encourage one another. So the most important thing is to own your story and give voice to that.
That's also very important. I think it also has to do with, the Pacific way of dealing with problems.
Yes.
The reason why we do not address trauma is because the Pacific way of doing things is, it's your problem, you deal with it yourself, you know. So I think the support group is there, but not to deal with trauma. It's just there just to show you that I'm here physically,
That's right.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you mentioned the ripple effect and how that causes generational trauma. And I think you're right about people finding support,
Yeah, support.
you know, and that's very important. Support meaning safety,
Yeah.
somewhere we can express safely, you know, without being judged,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
without the stigma behind it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may add, now because talking about the support group, I am really thankful to Homes of Hope for partnering with us in terms of when I actually seek help in terms of counseling and getting our girls to come in the center, you know, to be part of the organization. I'm thankful for that because, like for me, not fully equipped to actually attend to all the needs and be able to, I can recognize, but I cannot provide the right support. So I put my hand up and say, please come and help me in this area. And I'm so thankful for Homes of Hope for,
Right.
you know,
Thank you.
coming to our assistance.
Yes.
with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode, and it may be something new for most of you. And so if you'd like to know more, leave a comment in our comment section, or we will provide you with description notes that you can read
Yep.
more about of Homes of Hope and trauma, and trying to stop the
Yeah.
ripple effects of it. For more information, you can always check us up on our Facebook page, on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn. From me and the team, Modemanda, and we'll see you again soon. Vinaka.
Naka.